This place is not for poor folks. People like you ruin the atmosphere here. If we breathe the same air as these people, we'll catch the poverty bug. My sister and her husband, whom we met by chance on a trip, insulted my husband and me. I guess they can't see the truth with their rotten eyes. My name is Zara, 29 years old. I work as a care worker at a large hospital in the city. It's not a job where I directly cure patients, like doctors or nurses, but I'm busy every day helping patients who need nursing care to return to social life after discharge from the hospital, and assisting elderly patients with bathing and changing their clothes. Although I was not a particularly good student and I did not have any special qualities, when I was about to graduate from high school, I started thinking vaguely about my future, and decided to get a certification because I wanted to be of help to others. After high school, I enrolled in a vocational school, obtained my certification, and found a job at a hospital in the city. My parents wholeheartedly supported my career choice and were proud of me, but my younger sister, Sarah, had the opposite reaction. A care worker? That's such an unskilled labor job, and anyone can do it. It's a perfect fit for someone like you with no outstanding qualities, she said and laughed. Sarah had always been like that, looking down on me and belittling me. Admittedly, Sarah was so pretty and gorgeous that she was recognized by people as the most beautiful girl in the area, as opposed to me, who was ordinary and plain. She excelled in academics and sports, received heaps of praise, and was frequently the center of attention. She always looked at me with pity, as if she was looking at something dirty. I was not competitive since I was young, and I didn't really like competing with others. When we think about the difficulty in obtaining the certification for a care worker, she might have a point in saying that it is a profession that anyone can have, compared to doctors and lawyers. However, there's a significant difference between anyone can become one and anyone can excel at it. Every time Sarah made such thoughtless remarks as anyone can become a care worker, it motivated me to do something only I could do. I worked hard every day, trying to be more polite, energetic, and smiling than anyone else. It might look easy to others, but it is quite difficult to keep this up every day. Even though I was far from competitive, I had developed a sense of pride in this job. I worked diligently. Since I was working so hard that I didn't really pay attention to my surroundings, I never realized that there was someone watching me. Hey, Zara, you're always smiling, and it inspires me. It was Dr. Ethan Clark, a doctor in the hospital where I worked, who approached me saying so. Even though I worked at the hospital, I rarely interacted with doctors due to the difference in our duties. Yet, Dr. Clark remembered my name. Your smile always motivates me to do my best. I thought it was a bit flirtatious, but I was happy with the compliment more than anything else. From then on, we started talking whenever we crossed paths, and before long, he invited me for meals. After going on several dates, he confessed his feelings, and we decided to start a romantic relationship. When I was about to turn 26, would you marry me? Ethan finally proposed to me. I eagerly agreed, and we went to visit my parents together. I believed that as long as I worked hard for others, someone would notice and appreciate me. I was on cloud 9. However, my happiness was shattered abruptly. You don't need to meet my parents. He texted me a few days before we were scheduled to visit his parents. It was so sudden that I couldn't understand the situation, so I replied immediately. Oh, they are not available? Then let's reschedule. But the response from Ethan was completely unexpected. Reschedule? I said you don't have to meet them. I'm breaking up with you. The moment I saw that message, it felt like everything around me froze. I called him immediately with trembling hands. What do you mean? Breaking up? I just introduced you to my parents. I stammered. Ethan let out a sigh and replied, Sorry, but it didn't work out. What? I asked, confused. I was wrong, he said. Wrong about what? I asked him in panic. You won't listen to me saying that you want to continue working even after we get married, right? I'd prefer someone more obedient than you who is like that and not cute," he said. They were the words I never imagined coming from Ethan, who was gentle. I was more surprised by his sudden change than by the fact that he was breaking up with me. "What? Not cute? You used to tell me that I was wonderful and I make you comfortable. I can't understand how you could get engaged and then suddenly break up with me like this." I was angry and said that. "What? That was just flattery to boost your ego. At that time, you were the youngest and, well, you were not that beautiful but also not ugly either, so I just chose you." "That's terrible." I was speechless, with shock and anger. "I'm a doctor, you know. I deserve someone better," he said. When he said that, I had a bad feeling. But what came next was worse than a bad feeling I just had. His next words made my knees feel weak. "I'm marrying Sarah. You're no longer needed." "Sarah," I stammered. "Yeah, that's right. I should have visited your family sooner. Then we wouldn't have wasted all this time," he added in a sly tone. I finally understood everything. When Ethan came to visit my parents, Sarah was also at home. Even though I chose the time when she wouldn't be home on purpose, she had intentionally stayed home to get a glimpse of my fiancé, with a mean look. She must have been planning to say something mean, but as soon as she found out that Ethan was a doctor, her attitude had drastically changed. However, it never occurred to me that she was planning to steal her own sister's, fiancé. My anger surpassed my sadness. I was angry not only with them, but also with myself. When I remained silent, Ethan chuckled and said, "Oh? Are you so shocked that you got aphasia or something? Shall I examine you? Well, it's a shame. Once you let me slip away, you'll never be able to get married. But my heart belongs to Sarah now, so even if you beg me, I can't go back to you." I couldn't contain my anger any longer and retorted, "Why would I beg you?" He mockingly replied, "Oh, so scary. Don't try too hard. Saying something like that is not cute either. Sarah is truly adorable, you know. She's even planning to quit her job after we get married." I no longer hid my frustration. After taking a deep breath, I said in one go, I would never beg a man like you to stay with me. I'm done. Will you please break up with me? I'm so glad that I didn't marry someone like you." "Oh, you caught on quickly. Well, you are still not cute, but I was going to leave you whether you cried or not, so thanks. Live your lonely life to the fullest." Ethan spat out the meanest words even at the end and hung up the phone. Soon after, I got a text message. It was from Sarah. "Sorry for taking Ethan away from you." It read. When my parents found out what had happened, they were furious, of course. They decided to disown Sarah. But she didn't seem to care in the slightest. Disown? No big deal. Having a husband who's a doctor is a winning ticket, and I couldn't care less about my family," she confidently declared. "Zara, thank you for introducing me to Ethan. It's rare, but for the first time in my life, I'm grateful to you." "Zara, you just continue to earn your daily bread and lead a modest life, okay?" When I saw my sister like that, I started laughing. Ethan and Sarah truly were a perfect match. I once again thought that I was lucky not to have married Ethan. With him out of my life, there was no need to agonize over quitting my job or not. I requested to be transferred to a different hospital under the same director since I didn't want to work at the same hospital as Ethan. With renewed determination, I worked harder than ever in that hospital. In addition to my genuine dedication, I had a burning desire to prove myself to those two. Then, 2 years after my breakup with Ethan, I heard those familiar words again. "You're always working so energetically." "Oh, thank you," I replied, but I was on high alert this time. unlike the time I first met Ethan. However, the person who uttered those words didn't seem to be working at the hospital. It could have been a patient or a patient's family member, so I couldn't simply brush them off, so I forced a smile. I tried to leave after that, but he did not let me leave easily. "Can I help you with something?" When I asked, looking puzzled, he gave me a warm smile and said, "I really admire your dedication to your job. I'd love to talk with you sometime. Would you be interested in grabbing a meal together whenever it suits you?" Before he could finish his sentence, I responded, "No, thank you." I made a smile as big as his and firmly refused. On that day, he backed down with a stunned look. His name was Lucas. He didn't give up. From then on, he continued to invite me to meals every time he saw me. Eventually, I caved and agreed to have a meal together. When we sat down to talk, he was incredibly polite and showed no signs of arrogance. Most importantly, he genuinely appreciated and acknowledged my work. After several dates, he finally asked me to be in a relationship with him. Before I could give him an answer, I decided to be honest and share my past with him. "It's not like I'm tied to the past, but I'm traumatized by it," I confessed. "Thank you for being honest with me. I guess I approached you the wrong way," Lucas replied with a wry smile before looking at me earnestly. "For me, there's no one more wonderful than you, Zara. I promise I'll never make you sad or anxious. You can take your time to decide it, but would you consider dating me with the intention of marrying me? I want to make you happy." His words were so shocking that they took away my doubts. I made up my mind and accepted Lucas's proposal to date. Lucas genuinely cherished me. Even when we decided to get married after a year of dating, he respected my desire to continue working more than anything else. My parents were overjoyed at the good fortune that came my way. They liked Lucas and we had a good relationship with both of our families. Our lives seemed perfect with a fulfilling career and a loving home. However, an unexpected event occurred. We took a paid vacation in the summer and went to Hawaii. That's when it happened. While having dinner at a restaurant in a hotel, we bumped into Sarah and Ethan. For a moment, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. Despite 3 years having passed since the incident, their disrespectful glares remained the same. Spotting me, they quickly made their way over, wearing sly, malicious grins. "Wow, look who's here. This place isn't for poor folks. People like you would ruin the atmosphere. Ethan, you should tell the manager here to kick them out," Sarah exclaimed loudly, making a scene. Ethan also chimed in. "She's got a point. If we breathe the same air as these people, we'll catch the poverty bug." They laughed loudly enough for us to hear them while glancing at us. They seemed to be enjoying our reactions. I felt anger welling up inside, but we were dining in a fine restaurant in a tropical island of Hawaii. I couldn't raise my voice. I clenched my teeth and continued to eat without saying anything. Lucas kept eating, ignoring them as if they were invisible just like me. "Have you tried this fish, Zara? It's incredibly delicious," Lucas asked, even with a smile. It seemed like they didn't like our reaction. Annoyed, they approached our table and loudly banged on it. "Don't ignore us, you ugly woman. This isn't a place for poor people like you. You're making it unpleasant for us, so why don't you just leave?" Sarah taunted. After I calmly wiped my mouth with a napkin, I looked at her and asked, "I'm sorry, who are you? Don't play dumb." "Oh, I get it, Zara. You're still bitter about me taking Ethan away from you, right? Of course, I can understand why you would be jealous since you are with this dull-looking man." Sarah continued to provoke, and Ethan added fuel to the fire. "I heard you're still working, even though you're married. Your husband must be a poor guy too, huh? What a pity." They even started belittling Lucas. I could have put up with it if I was the only target, but when they disrespected my precious husband, I couldn't keep quiet anymore. I stood up abruptly, causing everyone around us to turn their heads. When I was about to speak, Lucas stood in front of me, as if shielding me. He smiled warmly at me and spoke calmly. "There's no need for you to get upset about people like them." But even though he said that to me, my patience had run out. Seeing my frustration, Lucas gently nodded, understanding my feelings. When they saw our exchange, Ethan and Sarah started attacking Lucas more and more. "Trying to act cool? You poor bastard. You're not cool at all," Sarah sneered. "Honestly, since you are both so plain, you are a perfect match." I felt sorry for Lucas and embarrassed, struggling to hold back tears. However, Lucas, unfazed by their comments, responded calmly, "You two make quite the pair as well. You are just like each other in the way you have no brain except to look down on others." Hearing Lucas' words, Sarah and Ethan flushed with anger. "What? Are you making fun of us? Watch your words, you poor person." "Hey, you. You don't even know who I am? I'm a doctor, you know. I save the lives of ordinary people like you. How can you make fun of me? I don't deserve to be mocked by you, a poor man who can only marry such an ugly woman." Sarah gazed at Ethan with admiration. Lucas started talking again, looking as if he was tired of dealing with them. "I know, Ethan, you graduated from a prestigious national medical school and have been working at your current hospital for years, right?" "Oh, you know quite a bit," Ethan replied, looking puzzled about how Lucas knew so much about him. Meanwhile, Sarah continued to berate us. "Exactly. Ethan works at a huge, impressive hospital, and he's a top-notch surgeon. He's completely different from someone like you. Got it? Poor guy. You shouldn't talk to us like that if you know about Ethan's background." While Sarah was talking proudly, Ethan looked puzzled, wondering why Lucas knows so much about him. Sarah continued to make her rude remarks, but stopped completely when Lucas said the following. "Of course, I know because I run the hospital. When it comes to the doctors who work there, of course I know them." Sarah had an expression of a perfect example of being surprised on her face. "What?" After that, she didn't utter a single word. Ethan, too, was standing there in a daze, unable to grasp the situation. Lucas took out his business card and introduced himself to them. "I apologize for the delay. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am the director of the company which manages the general hospital where Ethan works." "The director?" Ethan finally managed to speak, in a strained voice. His throat seemed extremely dry. Sarah just stared intently at the business card. "Yes, Lucas is the director of a company that manages multiple hospitals. The reason why he approached me was because he had taken an interest in me, working enthusiastically during his regular visits to my hospital. When he proposed to me, I made it clear that I didn't want to quit my job, and he respected my decision, saying that since I fell in love with you who was working." Lucas was a man with impeccable reputation and incredible skills, to the point where the words well-liked and highly competent couldn't fully describe him. So, he was the complete opposite of a poor, dull person that Ethan and Sonia had been saying earlier. Ethan started yelling with a trembling voice, seemingly unable to stop what he started. "That's a lie. You can't be the director." However, as if to push Ethan over the edge, Sarah held up the phone she was fiddling with in front of his eyes. "Ethan, hold on a moment. It looks like it's true. Look." It seemed to be the homepage of Lucas' company. Ethan turned even more pale as he read Lucas' career. Then, Ethan tugged Sarah and started apologizing together. "I'm so sorry. I never imagined that someone like Zara would catch someone like you," Ethan stammered. I think I saw Lucas's temple twitched slightly for the first time. "Catch? What do you mean by catch? Don't you understand that the word itself is rude? We genuinely love each other. Zara didn't marry me for my title. Well, I suppose someone as thoroughly corrupted as you wouldn't understand. There's no way someone like you could be a good doctor.
Lucas' words made Ethan even more flustered, and he apologized profusely. However, Lucas had already stopped listening.
It would be a nuisance for others if this commotion continues to escalate, so could you leave, please? Zara, let's have the rest of the meal in our room.
Lucas signaled to the waiter and told him our room number. When she heard that, Sarah let out a voice like a scream.
Wait, isn't that room number for the suite on the top floor? You are kidding, please take me with you.
I was utterly exasperated by my sister's bizarre behavior.
Sorry, but people like you would ruin the wonderful atmosphere here,
I said and left the scene with Lucas. After returning home, Lucas reported the incident to the hospital, and Ethan faced disciplinary action. Seemingly driven by anger, Ethan shouted,
"Doctors can work anywhere. There is no need for me to stay here if you treat me like this."
With those words, Ethan resigned from the hospital. However, his challenge to Lucas, who held immense popularity and skill in the medical field, quickly spread throughout the industry. It was difficult for Ethan to find a hospital that would hire him. The hospital that finally hired him was like a graveyard for doctors with a poor working environment, bad reputation, and low wages. He and Sarah had been fighting constantly because they could no longer live as they had in the past. This may have been a cause, but Ethan had an affair with a nurse at his new workplace, and he asked Sarah for a divorce. However, Sarah didn't want to lose her status as a doctor's wife, didn't agree to the divorce easily, and they ended up going to court for divorce. Their expenses increased unnecessarily because of that, and by the time the divorce was finalized, both of them were left penniless. Sarah couldn't easily break free from the extravagant lifestyle she had become accustomed to. She quickly spent all the settlement money and alimony she had fought so hard to obtain, and that forced her to live in poverty in a rundown apartment. After his divorce from Sarah was finalized, Ethan married his affair partner, who was a nurse. However, due to a medical error caused by Ethan, the hospital where he worked had to close its doors. Moreover, Ethan, who was the person responsible for the mistake, became the target of intense scrutiny from weekly magazines and the media. His face and career were exposed, and he could never work as a doctor again. The nurse has a big heart, or so it seems, and she still hasn't abandoned Ethan, but they are both at their wits' end. As for me, I gave birth to a child last month and I'm on my maternity leave now. I was in the position of a patient during childbirth. I deeply felt the importance of my profession. It renewed my pride in my work. Once we find a daycare for my child, I'm planning to go back to work. Lucas fully supports my decision. As long as I work diligently, someone will always appreciate it. I spend my days cherishing the happiness of being able to live with that someone.